Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. Today we are going to talk all about The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We have our thoughts. We have the thoughts of our audience. We have sales numbers, and we already have information about future Zelda games straight from Eiji Onuma. So, Cayman, what do you say we get into it? That voice you've already heard, my sweet dumpster boy, my co-host, my just man who just needs a spanking. Cayman Darty, how are you, Cayman?
I'm doing great, man. Needing that spanking though. Jeez.
I'm heading over right now.
Oh boy.
So, drop them drawers.
I mean, they're already dropped, bud. You know me.
I do know you, actually. Cayman, it's been a hell of a weekend.
Yeah, it's been a long weekend.
Yeah, we're sleep deprived and we're ready to talk about this game. But we have a lot of video game stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Next week's episode will be our last ever. No, just kidding. It'll be our last for a few weeks. We've kind of mentioned it in passing a few times, but Rose and I we're going to Japan, so we're gonna be out for at least 2 weeks, but I have a feeling it'll probably be 3 weeks. I think that weekend that we get back, we'll probably need a few days, but if we can go that first Tuesday that we're back, we'll go. So just keep an eye on socials, and if you follow us on Twitch, you're going to know when we go live, when we're back. But so just heads up on that. But Cayman, in that time, we will not be taking a break on Save Trash Cinema, the podcast. Tell the folks at home what they can expect from this week's episode.
Oh man, let's talk about this week's episode. This week's episode, we actually put a film in Patrick's Trash Cinema Hall of Fame when we covered the 1986 shopping mall. I say shopping malls, shopping mall, the horror film. Can we even call it that?
How about the 1980s tour de force of what could have happened if Terminator entered shopping malls?
If Terminator mixed with Short Circuit,
and Paul Blart Mall Cop
and Alpha 5 from fucking Power Rangers. When we covered Shopping Mall. Chopping Malls, led by or starring Barbara Crampton, not really led, but a definite Scream Queen classic from the 80s. This episode is great. The movie's great. I have this is one of my favorite films of all time. So the fact that we finally got around to actually covering it has been really cool.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. You would assume that we would have done my favorite movies right off the bat, and we just still haven't. This is one of the handful of ones that I would put on the upper echelon for me. So we got more down the line that I consider to be the ultimate trash cinema films. But Shopping Mall is great. The episode, like I said, fantastic. We had the lovable Liz McLean on it. We talked about hockey romance novels at one point.
2 weeks in a row of hockey banter on
Cinema. We're definitely just reaching out for those hockey fans out there. But yeah, it's great. Highly recommend everyone go give it a shot and give it a listen, because I definitely think people are going to love this episode. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I think if you don't listen a bunch to Save Trash Cinema, but you like the genre, at the very least, go watch this movie, because the movie's incredible. I'm always hesitant when we start up a movie for that podcast, because not my genre of choice, but man, I love that movie. Fucking yeah,
it's great.
I would watch it again right now.
Hell yeah, brother.
Well, Cayman, as we said, neither of us feel 100%, because we did not get a lot of sleep this weekend because we were playing a lot of Zelda. But we were also playing and finishing. Both of us have hit credits on Star Wars Jedi Survivor. No spoilers. We might do a spoiler cast at some point, although I feel like by the time we have time, the game will be old at that point, because it probably can't do it before I'm out of town. But Cayman, now that you've hit credits, I'm curious, are you going for the platinum trophy, and what are your kind of final thoughts on this video game now that you have finished the story?
Sure, sure. So yeah, so the platinum trophy, that's a great question. It was gonna be 100% yes. I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, dude, this is an easy platinum for me. Just grind out a little bit, knock out a couple of these outstanding trophies that I've got to get, which is not many, honestly. Like,
Yeah.
I think when I rolled credits, I was already at almost 60% of the trophies done. So I was like, okay, this should be a cakewalk to get through. And then I ran into one fragment challenge. And I was like, you know what?
Which one?
It's one of the momentum fragment challenges.
Okay. I've
It
only done one
require
of those so far.
it requires a lot of dexterity. It requires a lot of like precision timing.
Ah,
There was one of them I was like, oh man, the first one I was like, this sucks, and I hope I don't have any more of these. And then I didn't for a while. Then I had another one. I was like, this fucking blows. Whoever made this is dumb. But then I did it after like 15 tries. I was like, okay, cool, no worries. This one, I put like 2 hours into it and was
oh
like,
my.
I'm at a point now where like it's it's difficult because the whole thing is hard and it's much 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 longer than all of the other ones I've done. And I can't get far enough inconsistently to try to master the last leg of it. And
Mm,
to the point that I'm like, you know what? Honestly, there's like someone's gonna be out there be like, this is so fucking easy and good for you. The thing is for me is like a lot of my issue with this challenge is battling the camera.
sure.
And when you do your double jump after a dash, it's never 100% the area you think you need to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just throws you off. And so I don't know. I'm kind of like, if I can get this done, then this platinum is a cakewalk.
Sure.
But this one challenge is whoever designed it is fucking Nancy Reagan levels of burning in hell right now. Just
Naughty.
it was terrible. It's terrible. It's way too long. It's annoyingly frustrating. The camera doesn't work the way you need it to be able to do the challenge. Like
Fucking
the
Lakitu in the
right,
clouds. Just
yeah. It's frustrating. But I think ultimately, like that aside, if I can get that done, then yeah, I'll do the platinum because I don't want to do everything and just leave that one challenge and then be like, I can't do this challenge and I have one
right.
trophy remaining and I can't
Right.
get the platinum because that sucks. But I think ultimately, if I had to give it a score, I don't know. I'm kind of leaning towards like an 8.5.
Okay.
8.5, maybe a 9. It's a great game. I highly recommend people playing it. I just don't know what the lasting impact of this game is going to be.
Okay.
Where I feel like Jedi Fallen Order was one of those where it was like the first time we'd had a Star Wars game like this. And it was just so different and felt so good. And not that like this game is bad or like is worse than the first game, which it's not. The game is better than the first game.
Yeah.
I think the thing is that it's suffering from the same issues I had with Horizon Forbidden West.
Sure.
Where by the time the story rolled credits, there were just things that I wasn't huge on. And a
In
lot of
terms of
those
story
things,
choices.
not even no. I actually preferred the story choice. I thought the story choices were very smart in this game. It really twists and subverts your expectations in a cool way, which I really dug. I think my biggest issue is just like you get really 2 planets to explore. And that's
Yeah.
really it.
Yeah.
And that kind of
Yeah.
stings a little bit. But then like the planets that you're exploring are like they're kind of lifeless, especially one Jeddah is
Yeah.
just lifeless and it's a desert planet and I'm like please no more desert planets. I get Star Wars has desert planets but like those are like any game that has a desert because of the way deserts work is just going to be soulless
Sure.
and bland. And like if one of your big hub planets is just bland, then like you're really relying on the other planet to be really really interesting, and the other planet is, but that's the only one that's really interesting and like I want to spend time in. I don't see for me being a ton of replayability. Like I don't think I'd go back and play this game again after platinuming it.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. I just like I think the game's great, and it just kind of it's one of those where like I do think that this game is awesome, and I can't wait to see what the next game decides to do. But I definitely feel like there needs to be some fine tuning
Okay.
on like what the next game is in the story and like where we decide to go, and then maybe just give us some more, I don't know, more stuff to do that's not like it feels like the challenges were kind of part of that like fuck, we need to add something else into this
Yeah.
to have a little bit more flavor and spice, and like the flavor and spice, like it's there to challenge you and to test your abilities, but like I don't know, they didn't really land for me.
Yeah. There's
So
some fluff for sure
yeah,
in the extra stuff they added. I'm definitely higher on it than you in terms of kind of lasting impact and lasting feeling. Like I'm in this place right now where I mean, it's a great problem to have. I'm like, fuck, I really want to be playing Jedi Survivor and doing everything I can, but I really want to be playing Tears of the Kingdom. And I was kind of juggling both of those this weekend, and I ultimately decided last night. So I finished Jedi Survivor last night. I played it for a few more hours afterward. Was kind of like, checking the boxes and knocking off as many of the other trophies as I could. And then today I was playing Zelda again, and like the button formats for each game is like just different enough, and like the powers that you have in the games are obviously very different, that like my brain kept like just like not working, where like I would start like pressing the pickup button from Tears of the Kingdom and Jedi Survivor, or I would jump off of something in Jedi Survivor and think that I had Link's fucking
yeah.
parachute, and like man, I couldn't do it. And so like I worry that, because now I kind of want to be all in on Zelda now that
Mhm.
I'm done with Jedi Survivor, and I feel like by the time we're back from our trip, and like it'll at that point be almost a month, and I'm like, I don't know that I'm going to go back. I hope to, but like with God of War Ragnarok, I really wanted to go back and get the platinum and do New Game Plus and all that, and I never did. So I don't know. We'll see. I hope to, but I don't. I'm not certain that I will this time. But man, I definitely I can't wait for the next one. I do think in terms of story, without spoiling anything, I really like where this one leaves it for part 3.
Mhm.
Way more than I liked 1 going into 2, and
Yeah.
then to bring in the Horizon comparison, I was like, man, this is what I would have wanted from Horizon, where like you introduce not even a new threat, just like it's a much more character driven story instead
Mhm.
of like a conflict driven story in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and I fuck with that hard. Um, but great game. What do you say we talk about Zelda?
I mean, shit.
So here's the thing. I see Connie in the chat. Hey Connie, I haven't talked to you in a while. How are you? We also got Terry in the chat. Terry, thank you for joining us. How are you? Always glad that you're here. Constantina asks, will there be any spoilers? And Terry says, I can't imagine there will be. They're pretty good about staying spoiler free. That's an interesting thing on Zelda, because the question is, what do you classify as a spoiler? If we're talking about story spoilers, we're not going to spoil anything,
I don't
because
know if I could spoil game spoilers because I have no fucking idea what's happening right now.
right. But it just depends on like experiences and like powers and things like that. Like I don't know what you would classify as spoilers. So this is what I can say, and I think and maybe you can kind of judge if you want to listen right now based on that. I've put somewhere between 5 and 10 hours into this. I am done with the tutorial section, and
I'm
I've
sorry,
been
what?
what?
Only 5 to 10 hours?
Well, yeah, because I was a
Oh,
lot
fair,
further behind on Jedi Survivor for sure.
fair.
Um, so I yeah, I'm like in the main section of the game. Like I'm in Hyrule, but I've probably only been doing that for like 3 hours, maybe 4.
Hmm.
Like I've unlocked a couple different towers. Like I have a little bit of the map undone, but like I imagine you're way further in Zelda than I am, I would
Yeah,
think.
here's the thing. I don't know where I am in Zelda right now. I'm just gonna be completely honest with you. I have no clue
Sure.
where I'm at. I what I can tell you, obviously these are no spoilers. And for Connie, we will not be covering main plot, temples, or memories. This is all going to be very much everything you already know. I would
Like
say,
mechanics, the
yeah,
world,
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
everything you already know. So in terms of where I am, here's the thing on the Switch is that the Switch won't tell you how many hours you've put into something until you're already like a week or so in.
Uh-huh.
So I
Uh-huh.
couldn't even begin to tell you how many hours I put in this. I will just say this. I've put enough time into it that I have slept somehow less than I normally sleep.
Which already is not a lot. You don't sleep a
no,
lot.
which is true. So like most nights I'm up until probably 3 a.m. Just playing Zelda. So here's the thing. So let me just saying this. I got the game on Friday, booted it up Friday evening, probably put in a couple hours there. Then I finished up Jedi Survivor Saturday, then started playing Zelda that evening and put in probably 5 or 6 hours. And then Sunday I probably put in like 8 hours. And then yesterday I probably put another 6 hours, and I
Oh my
probably
God.
put in like 5 hours today. I don't feel like I've even made a dent in this game. I haven't done any temples. I haven't done really any main questing outside of like your opening stuff where it's like, hey, you need to really kind of knock these things out to kind of get yourself set up for the big quest, right?
Yeah. I assumed quick question. Temples, we're referring to like the 4 big things, and then
Yes.
shrines are the
I've done
just making sure.
To put into perspective on how many shrines I've completed, which I don't know how many this is, to be completely honest with you, because I'm not good at math. I have 10 hearts.
So that would be somewhere
40?
between 20. Well,
no, it wouldn't be that many because
you exit the tutorial with 4 hearts.
Yeah.
So so I believe that would be what, 24 shrines?
And then I've got 2 extra light things, so I'm probably like 26. I have no more stamina. I've put it all towards health.
Yeah.
Because if you haven't played this game or haven't played Breath of the Wild, you get your ass kicked. This shit is
Boy,
Elden Ring
do
hard.
you. Boy, do
I think
you.
this game is harder than Breath of the Wild in terms of how easily you just get your ass kicked.
Well, I think so. I would agree with that. I only have 5 hearts, and I have died so many times. Like, so many enemies just fucking one hit kill you. And like, I'm fine with it. I'm still having a great fucking time. And like, unlike Elden Ring, there's really no consequence for dying other than, man, I gotta go do that again. Like, that's it. And it auto saves pretty often. But yeah, no, I definitely I need to get some more stamina, but I need the hearts. Like, I can't
honestly
stay alive.
I'll say it this way, like I really haven't like ran into, as of right now, I have not run into any stamina issues.
Okay.
I try to always cook meals that have extra stamina, always keep a stash of those with me, just so that if I do need some at the last minute, there's a couple towers that you have to do that, or maybe one in particular that you have to have a lot of stamina to be able to get that. But like if you have meals, you're fine. So like, I don't really feel like it's much of a huge issue for me at the moment. But once I hit my 10th heart, like once I got my 10th heart, now my goal is to get a few extra staminas. Just to give me a little bit of buffer there. But I was like, my goal was like, I need 10 hearts. 10 hearts I feel good with, which I definitely do. I've upgraded my armor a couple times, or I got my hood and my armor upgraded, which is great. Has definitely helped me at least absorb more damage than your starting gear. My whole thing is, and this is what I did with Breath of the Wild, and I can say this, and I'll get to this other part, but like with Breath of the Wild, like I did the same kind of aspect where it's like, all right, go to the towers, do your shit, try to get the map open. I did the same thing with Elden Ring. Games like this is my first thing. I want the map open so I have an idea of where I'm going at all times. So in this game, though, it's like, oh, I see the tower. I'm going to head there. And then on my way there, I spend 3 or 4 hours just fucking off doing whatever. I see some cave. I'm like, fuck, that cave's calling my name, baby. What's in this cave? Which, by the way, I don't know if anyone, and maybe this is a spoiler, but like go into caves because you get these little things. And then when you meet the person who wants those little things, the shit they give you is fucking hilarious.
Oh, great. I have so many of those little things.
The funniest part of this entire game, and there's some funny parts. Hestus, the Korok, being able to actually use Korok seeds for something other than just golden shit.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I've not met Hestus yet.
I'm glad that happened. You can use it for more than just shit now. So the Korok seeds are usable. Fantastic. Love it. I'm so appreciative of this. But I think the other thing too is like the side quest. I haven't had a single side quest so far. Ask me to go get something and bring it back to them.
Oh yeah.
There's been no fetch quests, which is incredible. I have no earthly idea where I'm going during half of the missions, because I will say one complaint I have here: the mission setup is kind of frustrating, because like it is very much like Elden Ring. It feels way more like Elden Ring in its questing this time around, where I didn't feel like I necessarily had this big of an issue with Breath of the Wild, where it was like, hey, you kind of know where you need to go and where it's located.
Sure.
But like a lot of this stuff right now, it's like, hey, this person's over in this area, just go find them. And I'm like, I don't know where the fuck that area is. So that has led me to, but I kind of appreciate it, because it has led me to go find just a bunch of random shit, because I can't
Yeah.
just beeline there. I'm like, I have to go see things. I will say, and this is very minor spoiler, but anyone who's played the game so far already knows it. There's a dude who has signs that you have to help him put up. Okay.
Yeah.
This dude's all over the fucking place. This
Everywhere.
is my favorite part of the game.
He is so funny to me.
Because there's no answer to how to get the sign to stay propped up. And so like it just makes me flex all of my creative muscles in that moment to create the weirdest contraption possible for me to get a sign to. And I don't know what it is about this shit, but like it's awesome. Fuck you, Connie. You can't let the man suffer. He's got signs to put up. Also, he gives you food and rupees,
And
which
rupees.
are
So
very hard to find in this game.
I have found it seems like rupees are definitely not as easy of a commodity as they were in Breath of the Wild. But so usually around this man with the pole, that big pole is one of those like things where there's like random things of wood and columns and stuff. And so basically what it's like a miniature puzzle of what can you build around this post to keep it from falling when he lets go. And once it, like, if it doesn't fall, then he, like, you know, sets it into the ground and he gives you a prize. And I'm assuming if you get all of the posts around the world, there will be some sort of fucking stupid thing that you'll get, but it'll be worth it.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's worth doing them in the moment as well, because he gives you food, he gives you rupees, and then he'll give you like something from his special inventory. And so sometimes those can be things like a pony ticket where you get a free stay at a stable. Or he'll give you like, you know, bombs or some shit that you can use, which is like super helpful to have in the wild, because a lot of the stuff you don't find like a lot of while you're going through, and they can save your ass in some of these caves when you're like, shit, I don't have anything that can break this rock, and you just pull out a bomb and just blow shit up. But I think the thing is, and this is the key here, right? Everyone knows, because I've said it so many times, wasn't huge on Breath of the Wild.
Famously, you've said it was a bad game.
I don't think I said it was a bad game.
You didn't say it was a bad game.
I don't think I said it was a bad game. I just said I personally didn't like Breath of the Wild. I like my old school Zelda.
Yeah.
I like my temples. I like just my normal Zelda shit. I think in terms of like one of my favorite experiences in more of the open world style Zelda was kind of like Twilight Princess had. Like, I kind of enjoyed the more freedom open world, like that aspect.
Sure.
And the Breath of the Wild was very, very different. Obviously, the games I love the most, like Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask and Link's Awakening, are very, very different than what all of these other games that have come after it are. But historically, I've said I'm not a huge fan of Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
I fucking love this game.
Dude.
I fucking love this game. It'll be tough to top Majora's Mask, because that has such a nostalgic hold on me as a person. And I just love the story of Majora's Mask, of like this impending doom. And I think it's told amazing. But this game, I've come across so many things, Patrick, where I've been like, I don't know how to solve this puzzle. I have no fucking idea how to do this.
Yeah.
And the game is like, hey, that's okay. Be stupid.
Break it.
Break this game.
Break our game.
Break it, please. And then I do. And then I I'm like, I don't feel as dumb because I didn't get the right answer. I just found a different way to get to the solution than a normal person would. This is an experience I don't think I've ever had in a game.
Ever. And that's the thing. Yeah. I think that is the magic of this game, is that, and I have a little bit of an interview with IG Onuma later where he talks about this. He's like, it's genius that the kind of the central premise of this game is break our game the game. Like I I'm only between 5 and 10 hours,
Mhm.
and I feel insane saying this, but I can already tell you this might be the best game ever made.
Yeah.
Like I am constantly in fucking awe of this game. I cannot believe what they've done because I'm way higher on Breath of the Wild than you. It's not my favorite Zelda game. I've many times on this show, I've been very loud about how much I love Wind Waker, but Breath of the Wild is definitely in my top 3 Zelda games. I think it's an amazing game. I've played it twice. There's a lot of magic in that game. And for them to totally reinvent something like Zelda and it be as good as it was and it be kind of like a consensus like top 5 game ever made across like most gamers is like a pretty amazing feat. So like the shoes that this thing had to fill is
Yeah.
insane. And the fact that Tears of the Kingdom makes what I just said, Breath of the Wild, one of the most agreed upon greatest games ever made, tens across the board, makes it feel like a fucking like work in progress or like a demo
Yeah.
or like I cannot fathom how Tears of the Kingdom has made Breath of the Wild feel like a concept game, because when you compare the powers that it gives you in Tears of the Kingdom to the powers that you had in Breath of the Wild,
Mhm.
Breath of the Wild is so simple in comparison. And that like breaks my brain to
Yeah.
say, because I feel like the thing that was kind of so magical about Breath of the Wild is how open it was and how free you were to kind of do whatever. But they've taken
Yeah.
that and said, hey, we're going to build all of these systems, fusing, ascending, this ultra hand ability, like being able to combine things and build every corner of this world in a way that all of it works at any given point, and there are 1,000 different solutions for everything, and everything feels purposefully crafted and purposefully made. And I have not encountered a single technical issue with this game. It looks incredible, it plays incredible, and I'm like, how the fuck did they do this? It's like it's a
Mhm.
marvel, to be honest.
So I
On
want to
on a,
put
on hardware that is compared to the PS5 and a PC and an Xbox, like 2 generations old, it feels like. And it plays better and feels better than anything that has come out on a PlayStation or Xbox or PC console in the last 10 years. It's insane to me.
So I want to point something out too. Terry in the chat. The story also feels darker than other Zelda games too. That might be another reason why you're giving with it, Cayman. And to that point, that very well could be because Majora's Mask is a very, very dark game.
Yeah.
But this game has like there's moments, especially when you go and explore certain areas, like this shit throws out some like straight up horror vibes. That opening sequence
Oh, for sure.
feels like a horror game.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. I do have like a couple complaints with the game that like they kind of I don't know. Earlier on, I was like, oh, yo, hey, seems lazy. And that's the opening area. And I
Sure.
understand why. So the opening area, you start off in the Great Sky Island. This is not any sort of spoiler to anyone. We've seen this all in gameplay trailers and shit. But the thing is, it starts you off doing the exact same thing for Breath of the Wild, where it gives you this big area that you have to figure out. You got to go hit 3 shrines, like well, technically 4, like 4 shrines. Well, 3 shrines, 1 puzzle-y temple thing. That's like, hey, you got to go do this. It's mandatory. You can't leave unless you do this. And then it's like, okay, so this is what we're going to start with. And then the once you start doing it, one of the shrines you have to go hit, it's in snow, and you're going to learn how snow works and how temperatures work in this game. And I'm like, so I'm sitting here playing. I'm like, this feels rote. This feels lazy. That we're doing literally the exact same thing we did to start off Breath of the Wild. And I got very nervous at that point
Sure.
because I was like, come on, guys. So I get down. Once I complete everything, I drop down. It's like, all right, now the next thing you got to do is you got to go to your first tower. And I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is literally the opening of Breath of the Wild. From there, I feel like the game is so much different and similar, but very, very different. Like you said, it's almost like like Breath of the Wild was a concept to get us here.
Yeah.
And it's like, it kind of left a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth when I first started playing, because I immediately was like, God damn it, here we go again. I'm
Yeah.
not going to enjoy this. And then once I got to Sky Island and you get all your powers, and I will say I vibe with the powers much, much more. With these particular powers, the other ones I just felt were kind of boring, and were like, oh great, you got a magnet. Oh great, you got 2 different types of bombs, and you
Yeah.
got ice. Cool,
Right. Right.
cool. This is like, hey, we're gonna give you powers that like they work so well together,
So well together.
and you can do whatever you want with them. And
You
how
can
you,
completely break this game. And
yeah,
that's the point.
it's great. Man, dude,
It's so good.
I had this impossible chasm that there was no way that you should be able to cross. No way you should be able to cross this chasm. So I just made a bridge that was like 2.5 miles long, and I crossed
Yeah.
that son of a bitch on a
Yeah.
bridge.
Yeah.
And
You
that's the
did
whole
Sam
thing.
Porter Bridges, baby.
Yeah. So the whole thing that I love about this is there's a lot of memes coming out that's like, can't solve your problem, just create a bridge. And I'm like, yeah, that's pretty much. So like you can break the game with bridges, which is fun. But like I do also love the aspect of like it's going to take way longer to be able to go that route than like to
Sure.
actually figure out the real solution, but like you can do it and the game is
Well,
okay with it. And I
have
love that.
you come across any instances where you've figured out the rewind time break? It's like the first time I did this, I'm in a shrine and I'm trying to get to this high up point, and I'm like, I understand what it wants me to do, but I am having trouble actually building the thing it wants me to build. So instead, I grab one of the boards, I just lift it up as high as it can go, and then I bring it down, and then I get up my rewind ability and just rewind it on the thing, step on it, and it just takes me to the top, and it's done. And I'm like, I'm sure there was an easier way, or not an easier way. That was probably the easiest way I could have done it. But like, that's not the way that they necessarily designed you to do this, but it works, and they let you, and
I did a
it's
shrine
so
called
satisfying.
Building with Logs. And
Okay.
and this is not really a
Oh,
spoiler.
I've done this one. I've done this
Yeah,
one. Yeah.
it's like really early on. And basically at the end, it's like you need to build a boat. I was like, fuck this boat. I've been saving all of my logs. Dude, I created a bridge that was so long. And I'm like,
Hell yeah.
so for me, like it's a secondary level of entertainment and fun, because I'm like, I get to just be dumb. And like I love that. Like that's why I'm like, we were talking about Jedi Survivor, where it's like there was a puzzle in Jedi Survivor where I was like, I did something really stupid to see if I could do it, and it worked. But then I found out that stupidity was actually the answer.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm torn on this because I don't know if I actually like that. Like where it's like we've built something that requires such a stupid idea to be the right answer that like it just is, I don't know. There's something about that just felt wrong to me. Like this shouldn't have been the way that this is designed. And then Zelda's like, we don't give a flying fuck how you get from point A to point B as long as you get to point B. And I'm
Yeah.
like, brother, let me tell you, you just
Come
gave
on.
tools to the dumbest man in the world, and he's going to use them to do stupid shit. And I have built some things that are insane. I've made traps. I've done some
Ooh, I've
stuff
not done
that
any
like
traps. That's good.
I'm just it's crazy how it worked. Either I put like I basically set up like a situation where like there's a certain, I forgot what, I think it's an octo something, I can't remember the name, but basically it makes stuff like fly. Like you can like hit it and it'll just shoot things. And so I'd like put together a bunch of spike boards and then threw it, and it just launched it at like 6 enemies and killed them all in one go.
Hell
And I
yeah.
was like, let's fucking go. And
That's amazing.
people have made mechs out of shit.
The things I'm seeing online are insane. Terry in the chat, have y'all seen what people are doing to these Koroks? I will never be that good at this game. But like the one that you sent me, every like 2 hours I think about it and I just giggle, where they put a Korok like up on a cross with like multiple other crosses and just burn them all down and like put like the Omen music to it or something like that. That one really made me giggle. But I've seen Trojan horses, I've seen fucking Gundams, I've seen like it's insane. It's wild to me. But like The other thing about this game too, like you mentioned it a little bit, like it opens us up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
There's this whole other world up there that I've barely even touched, and like
Yeah.
something that I think that is really resonating with me with this game. Like I was pretty loud when I started playing Elden Ring about like what didn't work for me. That like lack of focus, the lack of
Mm-hmm.
a guide, the lack of a reason to go do these things, and like the ability to kind of see what's coming on a map. All of those same exact things are here
Mm-hmm.
in Zelda. But there's no but I think that the reason that it's vibing or that I'm loving it a lot more, I think it's twofold. I think it's the powers, this kind of like this game is inherently more fun. Not necessarily
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, it's in my opinion, it is more fun of a game, but this game, it's more lighthearted, it's more fun driven than Elden Ring is. And with that, it's that lack of penalty. It's that if I go die, I just have to start over 3 minutes ago. I don't have to
Yeah.
lose all of this progress I've done, all of these things that I've accrued. Like if I had to go pick up my items that when I died, I would not be nearly as high on this game. But because this game is just so much like more about the fun than the challenge, I think ultimately I'm able to buy in on there being nothing on the map and having to fly up in the air and use my little switch camera that Link has to mark things on the map and go find them, because to me I'm having fun doing that. I'm having
Mm-hmm.
fun exploring this world. And I'm similar to you, where normally I start a game like this, I want to go to all the towers, open up the whole map, and then go from there. This time, I'm kind of drawn to this idea of staying in one area and kind of doing as much as I can in that area for now, and then go to the next area and like do as many shrines as I can find. And then, if there's something that I don't have the skill for or I don't have the health for, I'm dropping a stamp on my map and I'm kind of like keeping track of what those stamps are so that I know like when I'm stronger or when I'm smarter, I'm going to come back here and I'm going to do this. Now let's go to the next kind of chunk of the map. And I'm having a lot of fun doing this. And so like I feel like this is a game that I'm not going to speed through. Like I don't want to. I want
Mm-hmm.
to play through this at a normal pace instead of trying to binge this game for the sake of the podcast, for the sake of me going on to the next thing. Like I feel like this is going to be like a rest of the year game for me, and I'm really excited by that prospect. And also, I'm going to save that for the end of this in case someone wants to skip ahead, in case maybe what it is spoiler. Any other general thoughts on Tears of the Kingdom before we jump into some of the stories I've pulled in?
Yeah, I want to address the weapons breaking
Okay.
situation. So that is something that was part of Breath of the Wild. It does kind of feel like this time around that weapons do break a little bit easier. But I think the thing is and I know I had a conversation with Mike, who's been on the show before with us, a good friend. And he was like, "Yeah, I hate this idea of like I get this really good weapon, and then it's like it's just going to be gone." And what I think that they've done really smartly in this game is that like the fuse ability is gives you the option to be able to turn an item that might break in like a couple, just a few swings and you're done. But like if you fuse it with something else, like that weapon now has extended longevity and you can literally make incredible weapons from very early on in the game. Like you can make yourself some great weapons. And so I think like that was another turnoff for me in Breath of the Wild where I was like annoyed that like I would get these good weapons and then all of a sudden like I would be in an area, run out of weapons, and then all the weapons were shit. And I'm like, well, fuck, now I got to go try to find good weapons again. Now I'm just like, oh, fuck it. I'm just going to make it. Give me 2 seconds real quick. He's on mute and he's just screaming
Oopsie,
away.
oopsie! I'm just screaming over here. What I
Just
said was,
screaming.
I'll just grab this twig, add something to it, and make it 25 power in 10 seconds. Like
Yeah.
it's. I love that too. Good call.
So yeah, I
Um,
think outside of that though, like if I still feel torn to recommend this game to anyone who is like, I just desperately tried to get into Breath of the Wild and couldn't. I am torn on this idea of being like, go spend $70 on this game because you're going to love it. Because I just don't know if there's going to be people who we'll vibe with it. But I will say, like, if the ideas that we've discussed about these powers and how a lot of this stuff works, if that interests you, just do yourself the service and go get the game and play it. It's different than Breath of the Wild in a lot of really positive ways. But you're still going to have some of that Breath of the Wild that's just baked into what this game is that you're just going to have to accept and move on with.
Sure. Well, I will say, based on our next story, there might not be a lot of people that aren't already playing this game based on how well it's selling already. But a couple things. So Connie in the chat, fucking blowing my mind. Did you know that if you let Octorok swallow your weapons, it restores their durability? What?
I'm sorry. What?
This is, oh man, this is so cool too. Cause like one thing that I forgot to mention that this reminded me of, you remember how when I was playing Elden Ring, I was like, I missed the moment because I didn't play it when it launched. I'm here for the moment now, and I'm having so much fun being here for the moment because everyone is playing this game that has a Switch for the most part. And everyone is talking. Every time I go on Twitter, it's just video after video after video of awesome, dope fucking shit that people have done and sharing really cool ideas like what Kana just shared. That if you let an Octorok swallow your weapon, it restores your durability. It's like fucking Playground all over again, where we used to go and talk about, fucking Pokemon at recess and how did you get a Gengar? Like, I don't know how to get a Gengar. I feel like we're having that moment again, and it's awesome. And I'm having a great time. I can't actually, Connie, will you text that to me? Because I can't interact with links on the platform that we're streaming on. And then, okay, here's my second thing before I jump into this news story. This might be potentially a spoiler. So jump ahead, let's say 3 minutes if you don't want that. I know Cayman and Connie, based on where you are, you've probably already seen this. Terry, I'm not sure how far in you are, so maybe you haven't, but because it's like an experience thing. Last warning, jump away if you don't want to hear it. The whole fucking underneath Hyrule thing. Have you gone there? Have you done this? Have you seen this?
Yeah.
I'm blown away. Like when the reviews came out and I was listening to a review from IGN and they talked about it and I was like, man, I really wish I hadn't seen this because that would have been a really cool thing to find yourself. But then I went down there even knowing what it was, and I still was fucking blown away by it. Like I was like, man, it's the entire map.
Yes.
Again, it's the fucking upside down, and it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it's like this game, they've made it like 3 times as big as Breath of the Wild, and it breaks my brain that that's a thing.
Yeah, I will say just from exploring down there, don't expect to have like the same level like experience of like exploring the open world. There's going to be like, enemies and shit and stuff to do.
Yeah, it seems much more combat driven than upstairs is.
And I do enjoy the idea of like what it wants you to do. So like if you get the gloom on you, like you permanently lose hearts while you're down there. If you go to a shrine, they'll refresh your hearts. Or not refresh, but it'll give you the option to heal back up to your max total, which I think is a nice little thing. Like they definitely could have fucked you real hard on that, but it gives you like a risk and reward because there's a shit ton of zonite down there that you need for crafting, and you can make some really cool shit with it. And so like it's really awesome just to go down there and just like, because you can be like, okay, I'm going down there to hoard a fuck ton of this stuff. And then what I will say, and this might be a little bit of a spoiler, so sorry, but when you are in the sky, certain areas of the map will actually offer you new types of things you can use to build with, that you can get your little orbs. And so it really gives you like a big an emphasis to be like, go down and explore in the Great Chasm to get a fuck ton of this resource so that you can go up to the sky and get a fuck ton of this and then just have fun. Yeah. Go make whatever you want to make at that point.
Yeah. I don't know that I would say that's a spoiler because I've come across, so I've not come across the individual items of a lot of the things that you're probably referring to, but I've seen them in places. I'm like, oh, I've not seen like the big wheel as a collectible yet, or that I can use, but it must be in one of these things that I've just not gone to yet. So, but I see what you mean though.
But it's, and so like any advice I would give is like, to go down the chasm to stock up, and then when you're in the sky and you find like a thing that's giving out some of those resources, just fucking dump a ton, get a bunch, man, stash a shit ton, because there's definitely moments like where I'm at in the game, at least, where I'm like, man, this is really nice because I can attach this to this and create a thing that's going to just take me 3/4 of the way across the map
Yeah.
and just blow shit up. And it's like, fuck yeah.
God, it's so good. Well, this game is already breaking records. This game is selling like hotcakes. I'm pulling from Christopher Dring at gamesindustry.biz. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is the biggest boxed video game launch of the year in the UK. GFK also reveals that the game is Nintendo's second biggest release in UK history by revenue, behind 2008's Wii Fit. If we discount the balance board price, it actually is the biggest Nintendo release by revenue. In terms of units, the game only lags behind Wii Fit and the combined sales of Pokemon games, namely Sun and Moon and Scarlet and Violet. Its opening week sales eclipsed the box sales of Hogwarts Legacy by more than 50%.
Jesus.
This is just box sales, and Hogwarts, which was released on PC, PS5, and Xbox Series X and S in February, did have a very strong digital launch. Switch digital sales are typically much lower than other platforms, so it's unknown if the game outsold Hogwarts overall. Because Nintendo doesn't share its digital data with the charts companies. It's easily the biggest Zelda launch in history, selling more than 2.7 times the opening week sales of Breath of the Wild from 2017. So I brought this in for two reasons. I brought this in because we have the bet about
my
Hogwarts
prediction
and Tears of the Kingdom, which I still admittedly think that you're going to beat me on, but I was like, hey, I have a W for today, and that's it. And I'm taking it. But the real reason I brought it in is because, one, I'm not surprised. I mean, and obviously this is just for the UK, but I feel like it's probably
no, this game is gonna sell fucking gangbusters.
Yeah, I mean, it was like that Animal Crossing moment of 2020 where I turn on my Switch for the first time to play it, and almost everyone on my friends list is playing Tears of the Kingdom, and it was just what a fun thing. But
yeah,
so here's my question. So we talked about this, man, months ago. At this point, we kind of went through the top games in Switch history in terms of unit sales. So a recap of that: Mario Kart 8 is at just under 54 million. Animal Crossing just above 42. Smash Bros is at 31. Breath of the Wild is at 29.8. And then Pokemon Sword and Shield are at 25.8. It's early. It just came out on Friday. But I'm curious if you think, based on what we just talked about from Christopher Dring and just like the general conversation happening, do you think this game will get into the top 5? And if so, where would you guess it's going to land, if so?
And are we talking top 5 in terms of like top 5
Switch
of Switch games?
Yeah.
I think by the time that Switch's lifespan ends, I could see it definitely being in the top 5.
Yeah, I definitely see in the top 5 too.
Not in the top 3.
Yeah.
I think there's a very good likelihood. I think the one thing that we need to take into consideration when we start to talk about like how many Switches have sold, like this game is also not a game that like you're gonna have like Patrick, for instance, like you have 3 Switches, so
two now.
Well, you've purchased 3 total.
I have purchased 3 Switches in the Switch's lifespan.
Okay, so because of that, it's like, okay, well, you make up 3 of those total purchases, and there's a lot of people out there like that. And there's like for instance, my brother, he got a Switch for his kids. Like they're not gonna play this game. This is not a game they're gonna play.
Cowards.
So like you got to take that in consideration. Now there's other games on the Switch that like I think could fit on more Switches for like, or that are more accessible for like an entire audience of people who own Switches. So I definitely think you run into this gamut where it's like, okay, well, we've sold a shit ton of Switches. I don't think that something like I see something like Wii Sports or something like that was one of the Nintendo's products where it's like, this is a universal game. Mario Kart's another one that I think like universal game. Anyone can play. So
sure,
you just get it for whatever age frame. So I think you have to take in consideration that there's that. I do also think that you run into the issue of, because this game is just on the Switch, like you are still limiting who your player base is going to be. So I think in total, at the end of the year, like I still feel confident that I think Hogwarts probably will still be the number 1 selling game this year. But I wouldn't be shocked if this comes in at number 2.
Sure.
And I think in total, like I think this is going to end up being a top 5 game for the Switch. I think the one thing it's going to run into that might be the biggest issue is that it's just launching at the end of the Switch's lifespan.
That's my thing. That's my thought is Breath of the Wild launched with the Switch and it's at 29 or nearly 20 or nearly 30 million, 29.81 million. It's had 6-7 years to sell. So my thing is, I do still think that Tears of the Kingdom could eclipse that, but I won't be surprised if it doesn't, because it's coming out at the end of the generation. And by the time Switch 2 comes out, will we have gotten to that 30 million? Now the question is,
will it launch on the Switch 2?
Exactly. Will this game be playable on Switch 2? If this game is playable on Switch 2, I'm sure the numbers would then, splinter it, because
the question is what, like, how Nintendo decides to proceed forward with this, right?
Yeah.
So historically, Breath of the Wild technically launched on the Wii U,
Right.
and then came out later on, like it was only a couple months, I think, later, and it came out on the Switch. And so, there's that, right? So like this historically, like this could be one of those things. So the question is like, when this launches, will this be will we rope these together? Like, will the Switch 2 have the same cartridge? Will it be using a disc? Like, what will it be using? And then, like, how will they separate those numbers out? Are they going to be like, well, or is it going to be like a Tears of the Kingdom HD, or like whatever they decide to fucking call it? Like, what does that look like, and how do they rope those numbers in together? Because if you look at something like fucking Grand Theft Auto 5, right? Like, we talk about Grand Theft Auto 5 in total numbers sold.
Yeah.
But that shit also launched on the fucking Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3.
Right. And then the PS4 and then the PS5.
Exactly. Yeah. Same with Skyrim, the same situation. So it's like you've got so many different ways you can play this game, and we roped them all together. So like, is that how we're going to do that? Are we going to rope these together where it's like, okay, well, this is, or is it going to be because of some like whatever they decide to call it if they do that?
Sure.
Then we start to run in the issue of remembering that this is also Nintendo, and you can't fucking play Wind Waker right now unless you have a fucking Wii U or a GameCube.
Right. Or a Steam Deck.
Or if you're running
naughty.
You're being naughty. And same with like Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
The only thing that got a fucking bump was fucking Skyward Sword, which, for what it's worth, like, we didn't really rate Skyward Sword that highly, but like Skyward Sword had like a pretty cool. I remember Skyward Sword.
It's still a good game.
A really fun story.
Yeah.
But then you also have games like Link's Awakening. They got like a completely different reimagining.
Yeah. Well, the crazy thing about Zelda on Switch right now is most of the Zelda catalog is playable on Switch at this point. We're missing Wind Waker and Twilight Princess. We're missing Ocarina and Majora. No, that's not true, because they're on the Nintendo 64 now. But we're gonna get a Twilight port. We're gonna get a Wind Waker port. So really, it's the DS games that we're missing. We're about to get the Oracle games on the Game Boy Advance one, because we already have Minish Caps. Like, you can play most of the Zelda games on the platform, which is kind of nuts. Speaking of the Wii U, though, I had this thought when you said that it was also on the Wii U. I was like, I wonder how Breath of the Wild is sold on the Wii U. It's the number 13 best-selling game on the Wii U, because everyone bought it for Switch. Isn't that crazy? Fucking the Wind Waker HD.
But also no one had a fucking Wii U. So
sure, it only sold 1.7 million copies, though. Mario Kart 8 sold 8.5 million, which is basically like 100% attach rate. Basically, everyone that had a Wii U had Mario Kart. But I just thought that was funny. Cayman, you brought up a good point in terms of Ocarina, Majora, these other games from the past, or I'm sorry, not Ocarina, Majora, Twilight and Wind Waker not being on the Switch. We have an interview here from Eurogamer, Cayman, talking about the future of Zelda. So Eurogamer interviewed series producer Eiji Onuma. If you ever watch any of the Nintendo Directs, he is the nice old man that introduces the game. He's like the creative director on these games. And some interesting things came from this interview that I want to talk about. So this interview came from Ed Nightingale, and he writes, as Zelda series producer, Eiji Onuma has stated that the Breath of the Wild style of gameplay continued in Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is a new kind of format for the future of the series. And in an interview with Game Informer, this was in a Game Informer interview. Onuma was asked if the open world design would be the foundation for the next several games, just as Ocarina of Time previously established the 3D format. Onuma agreed Ocarina did create a format, but it was ultimately restricted perspective for the designers, while Breath of the Wild offered a new type of play. IG said, with Ocarina of Time, I think it's correct to say that it did kind of create a format for a number of titles in the franchise that came after it. But in some ways, that was a little bit restricting for us. While we always aimed to give the player freedoms of certain kinds, there were certain things that format didn't really afford in giving people freedom. Of course, the series continued to evolve after Ocarina of Time, but I think it's also fair to say now that we've arrived at Breath of the Wild and the new type of more open play and freedom that it affords. Yeah, I think it's correct to say that it has created a new kind of format for the series to proceed from, end quote. Onuma also commented on puzzle design and the variety of solutions available to players, noting that he thinks it's okay to cheat. Yes. Quote, when you think about people, cheating is fun, he laughs. They like it. Finding the shortcut is enjoyable. People will look for an easy way to do something if they can avoid struggling. We want to make sure that is something that stayed in the game, he said. Fuck yeah, Onuma.
Hell yeah.
Great call. And it seems that the style of puzzle solving is here to stay. They finished the interview by saying, when thinking of games in the past that we've worked on, where there was a puzzle to solve and only one answer, that's kind of the past way of developing games. Now I'm happy that we've arrived at this method where we're giving people lots of options and there are many answers to a single problem, and all of them can potentially be correct. I feel happy that we've arrived at this type of development style, he said. So all of that to say, I have a few questions. Obviously, this game is going to be a huge success after Breath of the Wild. We were just talking about the sales, all that thing, blah, blah, blah. Do we think, based on what he was just saying, that this is kind of the future of Zelda? Do you think we're still going to get smaller Zelda games moving forward? Like things like Link's Awakening, things like, the smaller ones like that, 2D over the top, or the more like medium-sized 3D Majora's, Wind Waker's, Ocarina, those kinds of games, Skyward Sword? Or do you think it's just this open world sandbox moving forward, and we'll kind of fill that need with remakes and re-releases and things like that? Well, where's your head on that? Does that question make sense?
Yeah, I think the logical answer from a Nintendo perspective is to use games that have already been built and then turn them into something that's modernized with different style. I think we'll get things like, I think we'll get an HD port of Twilight Princess. I think we'll get an HD port of at least Wind Waker. I don't foresee us probably getting a remake of Majora's Mask or Skyward Sword just because of the way that those games work. I don't think it makes sense for them to do that, right? Because like if they're gonna remake that game, that's a 3D open world Zelda game that really kind of not really open world, but like it's a 3D Zelda game that really ushered in this era. And while I would love to see them make like a really cool version of Majora's Mask or Ocarina of Time that's like aesthetically more pleasing and feels a little bit better to play with some quality of life improvements, I think the problem if you do that and remake a game like that, I think the issue you run into is that people are going to look at that and be like, well, I just wanted more of the Breath of the Wild style or Tears of the Kingdom style. And I think and then you start to date your games, right? So I think it makes more sense to go with more like a Link's Awakening style where you're still doing the top down. You get your traditional Zelda style game that there's been so many of. So if you do like Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, or you do something like Minish Cap or Four Swords, something like that, and you make it like Link's Awakening, then people expect this because they're like, oh, this is a completely different style of game. But if you take something like, Majora's Mask, and you're like, hey, this is look at how beautiful this looks now, and it looks the same graphic style as Breath of the Wild, you're like, nah. So I do think we'll probably get like remakes of some of the older games in style. It might not look like the claymation style of Link's Awakening, which by the way is just fucking adorable.
So good. So cute.
Fucking good. That like I do think that there's a world in which we will get certain types of those games that are gonna be top down, the asymmetrical style, old school style, but I don't think we're going to be getting complete remakes of these older games just because of the way that this type of game that Breath of the Wild is or Tears of the Kingdom is very different. And that
it's so different.
That sense of freedom, I think a lot of gamers will be turned off going back to some of those older ones if they look just like it, but you're just limited in capacity.
Yeah. I wonder though, because I mean, I guess in a way, this concern, they already proved me wrong once. They could probably prove me wrong again, but it's like, how do you follow Tears of the Kingdom with another game like this? I said that about Breath of the Wild, and look at me now. Like I got egg on my face because they fucking nailed it. But I kind of wonder if like the way forward is to like kind of jump in between them. Like I almost think of like um a future where they do a Tears of the Kingdom type game, and then they kind of they reel it in with a smaller style, whether that is the Link's Awakening, or if they were to do like just a smaller, more traditional 3D Zelda game, and then go back and like kind of like that, like either or, where maybe like the Assassin's Creed style, where you have like one team working on this, one team working on that. They're a little different, and they kind of have their own spin. Because I don't know, I as much as I was just gushing on this, I was like, man, this is maybe the greatest game ever made. I still want those like smaller Zelda games too.
Oh, for sure.
So like, I don't know. I hope that this is just him saying, we now have 3 types of Zelda games we're going to make: Tears of the Kingdom, Link's Awakening, and Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, Ocarina, all of those kind of like medium-sized open, again, not open world, but that like 3D adventure type game. So I hope there's all of those exist in the future.
Here's the thing for me. If I'm looking at this from the perspective of like, I'm a Nintendo exec, if I do that option where I give you 3, I'm looking closest at the middle tier. So if like Tears of the Kingdom is at the top at 1, 2 is something like Twilight Princess, and 3 is something like Link's Awakening. Like I'm more focused on the middle tier, because you got to think there's bandwidth that's being spent there. There's money involved making this.
Sure.
Whereas like you can probably cut some corners. You can probably do some things a little bit different. You can do it with a smaller team to make a smaller experience like Link's Awakening or something like Minish Cap or something like that.
Yeah.
I think my problem is you're still dumping a good portion of your budget to try to hit that middle tier, that number 2 spot. And so if it doesn't perform well, and if you have people that are like, no, I want more of the other, then like I'm ending it right there. And the thing is do you take a risk? And that's, I think, the other issue is like, how risky is Nintendo going to be when it comes to this? Because if I'm the one who's putting my money towards it, and I'm putting my investors' money towards this, I'm not going to have a middle tier. I'm going to have a smaller linear style experience. It's old school. And then I'm going to have my top tier AAA gangbuster, just big boy. And I'm not, and this is coming from the person who loves AA games.
Oh, for sure.
Shit games, right?
It's interesting though, because like when you think about the audience and the kind of location of looking in the past of Zelda games, your big ones and your small ones, the small ones were always the handhelds. Link's Awakening originally on the Game Boy Color or Advance, one of the Game Boys, Minish Cap, Game Boy Advance. Like that, usually these kind of top-down, smaller experiences are the handheld equivalent, spin-off, whatever you want to call it.
They don't have a handheld anymore.
Right. It's all the same. So like that's the thing that it makes it kind of puts us in this unknown territory, is normally they had 2 systems. Now everything is one. So maybe it is just that, all forward on the Tears of the Kingdom likes moving forward, and we're just going to re-release the older games and you can get your fix that way. I don't know what you got.
Here's, I think, the one part of the equation we're leaving out. We don't know what the Switch 2 looks like.
Sure. That's true.
So here's the thing. Nintendo could have 2 consoles on the horizon.
The Switch 2 is 2 consoles.
Okay, maybe not necessary. Yeah. So we have like Nintendo releases something that's going to be more akin to your Xbox, your PlayStation, that is locked in, right? Because they're like,
I wouldn't be surprised if they went that route.
We can't continue to produce. Yeah, we can't continue to produce big scale games on limited hardware. So they could say like the Switch 2 is your handheld. That's going to be like your 3DS. This is going to be your handheld that you're going to keep with you. You're going to walk around. It's going to be a little bit stronger than what's currently out there. It's going to have a really nice screen, XYZ. But then you're also going to have the option of like a big boy. And then you could, potentially dock your Switch in and still play it on the TV next to it, but you're going to have one that's going to be locked in. So like, you're going to have some of these smaller experiences in a handheld, and you're going to have your bigger experiences, because at a certain point you have to start to question, like, how big can they make these games and still be able to do like that, like this? Because like you were saying, when you were playing God of War on the Steam Deck, that was like, it was melting by the time you got done.
Yeah.
So like, that's the juxtapose, is that like the more power that goes into it, you need more cooling efficiencies. So,
and battery, like the battery was awful. It was like 1 hour before it died.
So like, and so there's that, and it's like, okay, so where's Nintendo's head in terms of hardware? And I think that depending on what that looks like, that could potentially alter their course on how they want to do things. They could have a two, like that 2-tier game, that number 2 slot that's like a Twilight Princess, that can function on both. But if you want to play Tears of the Kingdom 2, you have to have a locked-in console, because we cannot like find or technologically put this on something like that without it literally melting in your hands.
This is interesting. This is a very interesting thing that I've not considered. What if the next generation of Nintendo goes back to a 2-console system of, you got your TV console, you got your handheld console? Because you're right. Like, if they want to have console parity to PlayStation and Xbox, Switch 2 that is a dockable and handheld console, I don't think can do it, or it'll only do it for 2 years, maybe. Because we already know that a mid-generation upgrade is on the horizon for PlayStation. So it's safe to assume one might already be on the way for Xbox as well. There haven't been as many rumors, but if PlayStation is doing
more, in Xbox is more, Microsoft's more tight-lipped about that.
That's true.
Sony just doesn't give a shit.
And they already have 2 SKUs, and the Xbox Series X is already technically more powerful than the PS5. They just don't have the fucking games to play on it. So yeah, I don't know. This is interesting.
I think the thing is like, where I think where this might diverge, the paths might diverge in Nintendo's favor, is that Nintendo goes, we don't need console parity. We're not in this space anymore.
Yeah.
Like, we can't keep up making things like they haven't been in the console parity conversation since
the GameCube.
I mean, I guess
that was. I mean, it was more. Well,
they lost the console
equal then, but I mean,
way
PlayStation
more
2 and like PlayStation 2 outsold it by like 6 times.
Way more equal in terms of console parity, I think, with the GameCube than like the N64 to PS1. Because the PS1 just was graphically much more advanced than the N64.
For sure.
And so I think the GameCube is probably the closest to it. But I think at this point, like, they've had multiple generations now where they're just like, nah, fuck it. Like, we make games that are specific for this, and we don't really give a shit because our games are great.
And it's been working. Like, I mean, the Switch is, I think, the 3rd best-selling console of all time. The Wii is pretty high up too.
And then who knows? I mean, there might be some technology out there that hasn't been tapped into, or at least we're not aware of, because the Steam Deck is now like a year old. Mm-hmm. That like, hey, there is like, we might not be able to get Steam Deck level quality games. You might not be able to play God of War on here, but we're pretty damn close to it. And this thing has some sort of new technology that does not run nearly as hot.
Yeah.
You know, and as we get more advanced, there's going to be more stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Interesting. I'm interested to see where we go from here, because I want to know what their future looks like. Folks, that's our show. We have a little bit of a calendar update. I do want to quickly, I forgot to earlier when we were talking about Tears of the Kingdom, read some audience impressions. And then I also want to flip the question to you. If you're watching later, if you're listening later, write in, let us know what you think of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom if you were playing it. But here's a few quick little things from the audience. Terry, you might still be in the chat. Terry wrote in, holy crap, I'm enjoying the heck out of this game. This is what I wanted Breath of the Wild to feel like. Nick said, excited to feel like I'm back on an epic quest. Haven't felt this since Elden Ring. Mechanics, he said. And then Mondo, a.k.a. Chunklet to Mongu, friend of the show, says, incredible. Not sure how they made a masterpiece better, but here we are. Essentially, we're all aligned. This game fucking rules. Let us know if you agree, or let us know if you think we're crazy and you just like playing fucking Halo, you nerd. Here's our little game update. Coming to Game Pass today, FIFA 23. If you like sports games, go play that on your Xbox for free with Game Pass. And then on the 30th, Chicory, A Colorful Tale. I played a little bit of this on Switch and I liked
It's
it.
fun. Yeah.
There's a lot more games coming to Game Pass, but those are the ones that I thought were interesting and I think our audience will find interesting. So if you want to know more, fucking Google it. Also on PlayStation Plus, Extra and Premium, as of today, you can get Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart on PS5. You can get Dishonored 2 and Dishonored Death the Outsider. You can also get the Tomb Raider reboot trilogy, The Evil Within 2, and Lake, which was like a 1980s, not made in the 80s, set in the 80s, cozy, like mail delivering sim that I always wanted to play that I never played. So that is definitely, I will be playing that. So yeah, some cool games out there. If you don't necessarily want to drop the money on Zelda, or you don't have a Switch, you just have a PlayStation or an Xbox, maybe those are some games you want to check out. Cayman.
Yes, sir.
Always a fun conversation. I want to end our show before we start telling people where they can find us with the last comment we got in the chat from Connie. I just want Donkey Kong 64 on the Switch. I don't disagree.
Hell yeah.
Let's bring it. And
bring back Lanky Kong.
Bring him and bring it in a yellow cartridge, please.
Yes.
Cayman, where can they find you? Where can they find Safe Trash Cinema, the podcast?
You can find me at the Dumpster Boy on Twitter, and you can find Save Trash Cinema at Save Trash Cinema on all socials.
Boom shakalaka. You can find me at Patrick Schwag, or you can find the pod on Twitter at Spot Games Pod, or on Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, and YouTube at Spotlight Games Pod. You can also email us mail@spotlightgames.net. Tuesday nights on Twitch, Thursdays on YouTube and podcast services. Taking a break, starting the week after next. Fucking play some video games, have some fun. I love you. Goodbye.